Wow, guys. First I want to say I'm sorry. I just talked for, what time is it? 12:17. I just talked for 17 minutes, probably like a complete idiot. And I did not realize I didn't hit the live button. Wow, blown away. And hey, this is bound to happen. This is gonna happen when you're just starting out doing a stream for a live. And I'm thinking, why are people not engaging? I'm saying all this great stuff, and I think a lot of you guys left because you didn't see me. So I apologize for that. And man, it is what it is. But hey, if you could see me, let me know in the stream. Let me know what's up. Let me know what is happening. I am sorry about that. And I might want to do another community post about what happened to the stream. Man, can't believe I didn't hit the go live button. I was talking to my own screen like a complete idiot. It was hilarious. You know what? I'm not gonna let me stop it. I remember everything I talked about. Let's have you guys jump back in the questions. Let me know what you guys are doing, how you guys doing. Keep it going. While you guys are looking to, lol, you can see me, hands up. You stuck around, you did not leave. I appreciate you, brother. Let's see. Listen, I was talking to the camera. This is like insane, guys. Hey, 3D Games, you can see me. I said hello to all of you guys. I was talking a blast. I'm like asking questions. I'm like, nobody's asking questions. Hey, and I'm thinking, what's going on? And then 17 minutes later, I look at my screen and I see it says, you did not press play. You did not hit the play button. So now we should be going live. You guys should see me now. Let me know if you could hear me. Let me know if the music is too loud or not. And we will keep at it. And I'm going to quickly do another community post right now as you guys sitting here to apologize. And most importantly, let people know that the stream is now up and going. And the live stream is up and we could get at it. So hopefully everybody who left will come back. If not, we'll be okay. We'll keep at it. I hope you guys are doing good. Let me know in the comments if you guys could hear me. Also really good. And we're gonna go from there. So by the way, if you guys just joined us, like an idiot, I just for 17 minutes did a live stream without pushing the live button. You know, how does that happen? But that just shows we all can't be amazing professionals. This is an amateur hour night. We're having fun. So more people are coming back. They're finally being like, hey, I think Paul figured out. If you're just jumping back on, laugh in the comments with me. Because I just did probably like the most amazing stream for the past 17 minutes, and you have no way of knowing it. Why? Because, like an idiot, I did not hit the live stream button. I figured out how to schedule a stream, but I didn't realize how to click the live button to go live. So for 17 minutes, I did the most amazing talk. A lot of you guys probably missed it, and I am so sorry for that. Please don't hurt me. But wow, what a ride today. What a ride today. I'm still trying to send a community post to apologize. Sorry, had issues, sorry. Live stream is back up. Please come back. Listen, I know who my true fans are. The ones that came back, the ones that joined me. And I just, man, can't even type fast enough. Welcome back, everybody. Man, I can't say this enough. I'm so sorry. I forgot to hit the like button. But I did talk for 17 minutes, just so you know. I was prepared. I was going at it. Thank you for doing the mic check. Thank you for, Adrian, I gotta say, thank you for saying, you know, when somebody says, where's Paul? I was like, something's wrong. And then Adrian's like, I think he went to get coffee. And then I looked at my screen and it's like, God darn it, I did not hit the go live stream button. What an idiot I am. So let me edit my post that I just wrote because I didn't type it right. Live stream is back and we are about to have fun. As always, we're gonna have fun. So anyway, I was talking about a lot of like stuff. I was talking about what we're gonna do here on live stream, and let me know right off the top if you guys have some questions. so we could get started, we could keep moving. But what I want to start talking about, when should you learn React if you start JavaScript? By the way, let me know in the comments, what stack are you learning? What tech you're using to learn to get the job that you want? If you're working, let me know what languages you're using, because this advice of when should you learn React assumes that a lot of you guys are going into web development, and it could be applied, towards, learning Angular or learning Vue.js. So let me get a sip of this coffee, because my God, my heart is beating after freaking out that I didn't start the stream. So I apologize profusely again, guys. And you guys have my permission to yell at me in the comments when you don't see the stream, because I'm checking the comments, looking around, trying to make things work. So, my gosh, welcome back, guys. Welcome back. If you're joining us, we had a technical difficulty. And when I say technical difficulty, it's this guy forgot to push the live button, and I did talk for 17 minutes. It's unbelievable. The good news is I had 17 minutes worth of content without anybody asking a question. So again, how much React do you need to know to get a job? That is a great question, but a question before that, Hamza, let's say this. Are you even learning React right now? Or what do you like? Because this is what I did, guys. My biggest mistake was learning JavaScript, continue learning JavaScript, learning JavaScript, jumping from one tutorial to another, and not really building anything for my projects. And it wasn't until my friend came into me, he's like, Paul, all these jobs that you see, they all ask for React. They all ask for some sort of front-end library based on JavaScript that you need to know. It could be Angular, it could be Vue, it could be, in my case, React. And if you procrastinating, or maybe you think you don't know enough JavaScript to learn React, and you never learn React, you're never going to get that job, because it's really difficult to get a job with just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, unless you're, doing like MVC with C# and ASP.NET, then it's fine, you don't need React. But if you want to be a front-end developer, and most companies, they do ask for React. So if you're not jumping into React, I want to challenge you guys to make that transition, or Angular, whatever is popular in your area, and start. Now, let's start with the question, how much JavaScript do you need to know to start learning React? To be honest, you just need to know the basics. You have to be comfortable with array methods. You have to be comfortable and understand objects. And you also have to be comfortable with functions, declaring functions, function expression, and arrow functions. Once you know or familiar with that, start doing React, start building projects with React. And this is what I did. I started doing React, and what happened, my React knowledge actually surpassed my JavaScript knowledge. And then I got to a point where I got stuck because I did not know enough React. And so what I did is I went back and learned more JavaScript, right? There's nobody stopping you from going back and learning more JavaScript. But if you're not doing React, if you're not being your portfolio in the tech that you need to know to be able to get a job, you're just prolonging, you're just procrastinating through not forcing yourself to move forward. And that's something that I did, that's the mistake I made, and it was very difficult for me because I ended up not getting a job as soon as I should have if I had a clearer goal in mind going. So let me look at the questions here. By the way, guys, those of you who just joining us, I just want to say that I started the stream in my mind half an hour ago, and I forgot to hit the live button to go live, so I apologize for that. And I'm glad that you guys came back. And I just want to say that I read all your comments, and I just want to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge the love, the appreciation that you guys have for this channel, this community. I was saying how I'm so happy and amazed to have you guys bring so much awesomeness to this community, because without you guys, this show would not exist, I would not exist. And I just want to thank you for that and say that I really appreciate all and each and one of you guys, regardless if it's one person or 1,000 or 100,000. I just want to say thank you so much for everything you do. And I was amazed that you guys hung around in the chat for as long as you did before starting to leave, because you didn't see my face, because like an idiot I didn't hit the like button. But anyway, going back to the comments here, hope you're doing well. I'm coming up with app ideas, but they're too advanced for what I currently know. Basic JS, hire people to build it. Do you have any advice for hiring developers? Do you have any advice on hiring developers? So you want to hire some developers. So Emmanuel, if I'm reading that comment correctly, okay, hold on a second. Well, I'm coming up with so you have an app idea and you want to hire some developers. Do I have any advice? One thing I would say about if you have an app idea, like the thing about hiring anybody, and everybody's got to be in like a different position, but if you have an app idea and you want to build it and you want to hire developers, so you want to spend money on developing that app, one thing I would say is that before you do that, you definitely want to have a good idea if that app is going to be profitable to cover the cost of building it. And let me know in the comments if I'm not understanding your comment, because sometimes I do that. So hiring developers, honestly for me, I've never hired a developer and I probably can't give you real advice, but I could say that if you're looking to build an app and if there's no market for it, do not spend money to hire anybody until you do your market research. Now, the reason I can't say what it's like hiring developers, because I'm actually looking to get hired by somebody else and I am just working as a developer, but I'm not high enough at a position to hire somebody. So appreciate the question, but want to be straight up and honest with you. Ram, another question here. Let's say if I never create a project using Vanilla JS, but I have some projects created using React, should I still learn about creating projects using Vanilla JS? Hey, Ram, that's an excellent question, and I'm glad that you asked it here. So what I would say, if you get to a point where you could build something in React, but you're not exactly sure how to build it with Vanilla JavaScript, I wouldn't say going back and recreating the whole app with Vanilla JavaScript, because it's going to take a lot more time. And there's no reason to do so, because at the end of the day, at your work, you're going to be building projects with React. But with that being said though, right, you should go back and practice keeping your JavaScript knowledge sharp. So what I do a lot of times is I'll pick one component of an app, maybe it's a drop-down menu, maybe it's a toggle box, and then I'll go and I practice building it with Vanilla JavaScript just to kind of keep my knowledge sharp. Now, as you learn React, what I'm saying to you guys, I'm not saying stop learning JavaScript. What I'm saying is that you should be learning React, and if you're getting stuck or you feel that your React, now you feel more comfortable with React than with JavaScript, go back and learn, fill in the gaps of the things that you are missing. By the way, guys, let me know, Claudia, thank you. I'm happy to be here. By the way, those of you who are just coming back and joining us back again, I was here, I saw your comments, but I forgot to hit the go live button. I am an idiot, I apologize for that, but I'm glad that I see some of you guys are coming back and joining us again. Get some questions going, let me know in the comments. We talked about when should you learn React, how much JavaScript you need to know for React, and ask your questions. Now, the reason why I'm saying to you guys, once you know the basics, like if you don't know any JavaScript, right, you should spend time learning JavaScript. But don't overdo it. Spend a month, maybe a month and a half, learn the basics, and then after that, start learning React. A lot of people say, hey, for 3 months bootcamp, let's use a bootcamp for context, right? They say in 3 months, you could get a job working as a web developer. And if you're spending 3 months just learning JavaScript, how are you going to get a job if you don't know React, if you don't know HTML, CSS? So what I would recommend for a lot of people here is, if you're brand new, and let me know how far along your journey you guys are, but if you're brand new, what you should do is take one course in HTML and CSS, just one. Then build a project based on what you learn. Number 2, you should learn JavaScript. Take one course, build a project. Number 3, you should learn React or another, front-end library like Angular or Vue. Pick something that's in demand in your area and learn that. Take one course. And then combine everything together and start building projects for your portfolio. And then if you do start to feel like you're missing something, you need to learn more CSS, you could always go back. If you feel like you need to learn more JavaScript, you could always go back. And that's what I do. I constantly piggyback. Oh, I know too much React. Let's step back down. Let's learn a little more JavaScript. Oh, I know a little more JavaScript. Oh man, I'm not comfortable with CSS animations. Let me bring that down. Let me look. And there are certain things, by the way, that you don't even need to learn because you know where to look them up. So let me look at the comments here. Check out what's happening. So let's see, Emmanuel Garcia. So great questions. What resources did I use to learn JavaScript? When I first started, I used Team Treehouse. But then I quickly switched to Udemy. Why? Because for 12 bucks you could get an amazing course. You pay for it once, you don't have to pay a monthly fee. And There are certain reasons I don't like Udemy, but none of them are for consumers. Like, I don't think I would ever sell courses on Udemy unless I would just put it on there for free. But as a consumer, I love Udemy because for 12 bucks, you're getting the most amazing courses you could find. So a lot of the courses I use are on Udemy. And most of the stuff that I learned is on Udemy. After that, I use sites like Pluralsight. And actually, let me jump back here. I have it here, ready here. So on my window here. Boom. Here we go. So here's my Udemy. By the way, I have 2 accounts. This one has 106 courses. This is where you could easily get into trouble and just keep buying courses without learning anything. It's an amazing phenomenon that it's called just thinking that the next newest tutorial is going to somehow make you a better developer, and you haven't finished even a single one. You need to take 2 or 3 courses and build stuff, not take 1,000 billion courses and not build anything. And as you could see here, I have 106 courses. Out of all of these, I definitely did not complete even like 10% of them. But with that being said, Udemy is amazing because you could buy quality courses for 12 bucks. It's very convenient, very easy. Now, another great resource for learning stuff is Pluralsight. Now, Pluralsight has a monthly fee. It's like, I forgot what it was, like 29 something. I ended up buying membership for a year. Yeah, it was not cheap up front. And I could see that the subscribe button's on my face. I apologize for that. Next time I will move my face somewhere else, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. But the amazing thing about Pluralsight here is that all the classes here, they're by industry experts. There's no random dude like me on Pluralsight. It's usually some people that work for Microsoft or work at some other big company. And so you're getting the best tutorial. So Pluralsight is an amazing resource learning. Now, a new resource that I just found, it blew my mind. If you have never used it, is Scrimba. Now, let me back up here because like if you're just joining me, I actually did the stream. I forgot to hit the streaming button. And so, like, I did this whole presentation and nobody was here because I never hit the stupid streaming button. But now I'm streaming. Let me get the screen back. So, Scrimba.com. If you've never been to it, this is one of the most amazing websites to learn. And I'm going to show you why. Because, and they have some free courses, but this is also a monthly fee site. But what's amazing about it, let's go to this lesson. I don't even know what this course is. Now, this is a video, right? I press play. This is playing the video. You know, you could see the presentation, but at any given time, you could stop. The video's paused, and what's going to happen, you have access to the code editor right away. And you could type whatever you need to. You could run your code. And what's interesting about this is that as the video plays and the instructor adds more stuff on the screen, your editor will change with what the instructor is typing. So it's one of the most interactive sites I've seen and just learned about. So this is another great resource to learn JavaScript and other things like this. Now, with that being said, there's so many resources online to learn. And before I continue with what other thoughts I had, let me look at the comments. Let me jump in here, see what's going on here, because I don't want to get too far away here. So let's see here. What resources did you use? Also, I'm getting back to Emmanuel's question. What were your first 2-3 projects with JavaScript? To be honest, I have zero. I mean, now I have examples of vanilla JavaScript projects. But when I was looking to get hired, I had 0 JavaScript project. I had 1 HTML and CSS project, and when I mean 0 vanilla JavaScript projects. And the rest of my projects were all done with React.js. Why? I was applying for a React job, and so all my projects were done in React.js. And that's why I tell you, learning React is important, because if a company's listing React and that's what they're looking to hire you, or if they're listing Angular, your project should be in Angular and React. Now, the reason why I do React is, if you haven't seen my video, React versus JavaScript, check it out, because it shows why React is important. Because I do a simple example. I do a simple, I think it's a Kanye West quote generator. And I show you that with vanilla JavaScript, you have to write a lot more code than you do with React.js. So React.js not only helps you to work faster and build things quicker, it's just such a nicer experience as a developer, especially when creating front ends. So hope that answers your question, Emmanuel. Let me know if you have any follow-ups. I'd love to tell you more about it. Keep the questions coming. This stream is not this, by the way, guys, this stream is all about you guys. Like, I don't care about me. I will talk and talk until you guys ask questions. Then I will answer questions, because without you guys, this community would not exist. I would not exist. So please smash the like buttons. Please ask questions, because without you guys, I will not be here. I just will not be. The truth is, without you guys, I'm nobody, I'm nothing. So this community is for you guys. I want everybody to interact, ask questions, and go from there. So let's move down. So stick to only one course and get straight to the project. So yes, for what I would say, if you do HTML and CSS, and I'll talk about learning strategies in a little bit and what you should do in more detail, but yes, if you do one HTML and CSS course, after you finish that HTML and CSS course, do one HTML and CSS project based on what you learned. Then take your JavaScript course, complete all the JavaScript tutorials inside the course, but after that you finish the course, do one JavaScript project or add JavaScript functionality to your HTML and CSS project. And then take one React course, and then take your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript project that you created from the previous two courses and convert it to being a React app. And put all those three things into your portfolio. Put your HTML, CSS, put your HTML, JavaScript, and your React project. But the point is, do not jump from one tutorial to another tutorial if you don't complete any projects, because it's a waste of time. And I know this because I did it for like many years. Like I showed you my screen, I have bajillion classes on my Udemy account that I didn't even do. So the most important thing you could do is, after one course, you have to have a project to show for it. If you don't have nothing to show for it, that means you just watched the project and you didn't really apply what you learned to build something of your own, which is important. So let me look at the comments. Let me jump back in. Keep the questions coming. Let's see. Are you finding more class-based components, React apps, rather than functional ones? Hooks, I mean, at your job. Adrian, another basic question. Thank you for that. So writing new code, right? When we went to the job, this is a great question, because when I went to my job, we had a lot of legacy code, which is using class-based components. So you should learn class-based components, just so when you work with legacy code, you know what's up, you know what to do. And if you have to fix something, you fix something. But what you don't do is you don't create any new components using class-based components. You do everything in React with functional components, using React hooks and things like that, because that's where React is going right now, and that's what you see. So even at my company, if you work with legacy code, everything from now and forward, we write using modern React, using hooks, using functional components. And if you're learning React, that's what I would recommend you spend a lot of time on. I made actually here, let me show you. Since Adrian, you asked such a good question, let's do a little code example here. We're gonna look at a class example versus a functional example. And I'm going to just show you the differences really quickly. And if you don't want to see the example, let me know, because I don't want to waste anybody's time. But let me open up here. Let me go to my examples here. And I actually did this because I was like, man, someone's going to ask this question for sure. So let me know if you guys see my screen. So here we are. We have three components that do the same exact thing. We have class component, right, does the same thing. It basically highlights the selected button. We have class component using arrow functions, and the reason why you would use arrow functions is because a lot of developers that start doing React using class components have hard time working with this and knowing why sometimes things don't work. Is because you have to bind this to the context that was created in. And functional components avoid all that problem, and they work really good. So let me jump into the core code here. And again, guys, let me know if you guys can see my screen or not. I'm just gonna fly through this quickly because a very good question here. So let me make this bigger so you guys could see here. I don't know if they made it bigger, not yet. Okay, it's bigger. Maybe too big. Anyway, so look at the menu class. This is a class React component. You have to, first of all, have your constructor. Inside your constructor, you have to create your state, right? You have to use this because this will basically relate to the state in your constructor. Now, all your events here, they're methods, right? And for them to work, you have to use this.
And then when you call your methods, you have to bind this to it. And this is where it's happening. And again, if this is too fast for you, don't worry about it. If you don't get it, I'm just going to show you. It's a thing, right? You have to deal with this every time you work with class components. So React introduced JavaScript ES6 introduced arrow functions, which don't have this problem. And you could Google in more detail why this is, but let me close this example and class example. Here's our class component refactored. So because of using our arrow functions, right, we're now able to take state and declare it as a variable without using the constructor. And more importantly, we don't have to write, let me go back here. We don't have to write the binding. Where is it? Okay, I closed it. Here you go. I don't have to write stuff like this here. Okay, what am I doing? I'm closing to a class component. Here we go. Did I? Constructor. Here you go. I closed too many things. See, I don't have to do this with arrow functions, right? Then again, you don't have to understand the code. What I'm trying to say here, class components adds more complexity that you don't have to worry about, but it makes your job as a developer much more complicated. So then you're able to refactor using arrow functions to eliminate all this binding and even thinking about this. And so it makes things much simpler and easier. But this is still a little bit more complex. And then the most important part, here we are, functional component. And again, I'm just flying through this. Look, this is all you write compared to all this stuff. Hold on, let me open this. Look, this is all the stuff you have to write in your class component. It's already a headache. That's why moving forward, everybody does functional components. That's what you guys should do. Use state and look at the difference. Like, let me get back here. Look, this is it. You declare your function and you have your use state to declare your state, and then you have your methods, and there's no headaches. It's much simpler. So I know that was a long way to answer your question, but the point is, if you're learning React, you should know class-based components so you could work in legacy code, fix bugs. But moving forward, you should be comfortable using functional components to write your React. If you're starting new, focus on functional components first. Learn use state, use effect, learn all the hook methods in React so you feel comfortable with it, because that's moving forward, that is the future. At my job, I haven't seen or worked on a class component for past 6 months. And one time my boss said to me, Paul, can you go look at this component here? Can you see what the problem is? I went, I saw it was a class-based component. You know what I did? I did a bonus thing my boss didn't ask me. I refactored it into a functional component because I did not want to mess with the class. So that's that answer. I might have been like a very wild, crazy answer. Basic, to keep it short, it just learn functional components, and that's the future of React. So I apologize that it was a complete mess and I was all over the place, but it is what it is. Okay, let's look at the, man, I gotta keep moving. Let's see. Okay, there's a lot of great stuff here. Okay, so I'm probably jumping all over the place. I love it. A lot of great questions. And I'm looking at the comments, just want to make sure that I could see where we're at. All right. I'm looking at the comments. All right, there's one question. How much, hold on a second, let me back up here. Oh my goodness, I am all over the place. Scrolling and doing things. By the way, thank you guys for joining me here. I just always blown away by how awesome you guys are and asking good questions, and I really appreciate you guys supporting this channel. I can't say it enough. Listen guys, if I missed your question, don't be afraid to type it again afterwards as I scroll here. Okay. Okay, that one I answer. Answer that one. Yep, answer that one. So let me back. So blah blah blah. I know HTML, CSS, and React.
applied to more than 200 jobs. I got one interview was great, but didn't hear back from them, and it messed up with my mind. Listen, that's just the way it is. Hamza, sometimes you're just not gonna win every interview, and if you did 200 applications and got one interview, I would say like we want to take a look at your resume and see how it's written. I have the same issue where my resume was not written with certain keywords in mind, and then a lot of the times when people read your resume, they put it through a machine, and if the machine doesn't pick up those key terms, they just don't even look at your resume. So if you did literally 200 applications and only got one interview, that's less than, that's like 0.5%. So I would say we have to look at your resume and definitely share your resume with us. Don't have to do it on this live, but you could email me or put it in Slack. By the way, if you want to join our Slack channel, just email me at codingafter30@gmail.com. I'll add you to it. But send me your resume. Let's take a look at it. We have someone on our Slack channel that started like us from the very beginning. Now he's a senior engineer. He's also been on the hiring side of things, so he could give us a lot of great advice. But what he told me is that if you're applying to companies and you're sending out your resume and you're not getting a response, something on your resume has to be fixed. And to fix that, you have to take a look at it. But don't let it mess with your mind, because you're gonna have a lot of failures and you just have to wait for that one yes, right? Like, I remember when I was young gentleman and I was dating, it's like I would get frustrated that I could never get a date. And then I realized it's just a numbers game. And I also had the 1% odds of meeting someone who would say yes to me, and then you just work on your presentation or your resume to increase those chances. So that's what we have to do, Hamza. And send me a message. I would love to figure that out for you, because you should be getting more resume. And 3D Games, what JS course did you like most on Udemy? I really like that guy John Smigla React Projects course. That's one of my favorite courses, and by the time you're done with that course, you have a couple of nice, awesome projects that you can put in your portfolio, which I recommend you do at the beginning. But as soon as you can, create your own projects, not from a tutorial, and replace those tutorial projects in your portfolio with your projects that you created yourself from scratch. But yeah, that's my favorite course. But there's a lot of great courses on Udemy, and John Sigla also has a JS course. I was kind of referring to his React course, but he has an amazing JavaScript project course. He's my favorite right now. He also has a Coding Addict YouTube channel, has tons of tutorials, a lot of fun. And Logic, yes, once you're comfortable with JS, definitely try TypeScript, as it is. It is JS, but less headaches involved. Yes, true. Now, if you're not comfortable with JavaScript, like the key there being you have to be comfortable with JavaScript. If you're not comfortable with JavaScript, TypeScript, just hold off. Like, I don't do anything with TypeScript, or I haven't done it in a while. And just recently, I'm making that transition, starting to learn TypeScript, because there is a lot of value in that. But don't try to learn everything at once. And Aaron SS, thank you for your question. What kind of stuff are you doing at your work? What I do is I work on the front end. My job is to create the front end screens with the logic that's able to fetch data from a database. And we work on it's a hospital, I guess you would call it like HR platform, which allows you to manage all your employees, do their paychecks. It also allows you to manage all their clients, meaning their patients, and do their prescriptions and stuff like that. It's a huge app, a lot of hard work, but at my job, all I do, I get presented with a UI for a screen. They say create the screen, I create that screen, and then they say, okay, this screen needs to be populated with this data. When you click these buttons, it should filter this data. So I write that logic, and I connect to the API, which is written in C# and ASP.NET. And once in a while, I've been learning C# just because it's a small company. They expect you to be able to go into the API and fix things. So once in a while, I go to the back end and I work fixing API bugs, but mostly spend on front end stuff. Okay, let's move down. How long did you work with Vanilla JavaScript before learning a framework? So, Jose, great question, and this is kind of the topic of this stream, is don't wait to learn React. Once you understand basics of JavaScript as the language, if you understand basics DOM manipulation, don't have to become an expert in that, because in React you don't handle the DOM that way. You use React basically handles the DOM manipulation for you. So all you need to do is, if you feel comfortable with array methods, if you feel comfortable working with objects and functions, you're ready to go. Start learning React. That's what I would say. And if you get to a point where your React knowledge completely outshines your JavaScript, you could always go back and learn more JavaScript. But definitely don't keep yourself waiting. That's my new opinion. And the only reason I say that is because I waited way too long to learn React. And I think if I learn React and build more projects with React or Angular or Vue, whatever that library that you want to learn, I would have gotten a job faster. So let's move down here. So this is going to say and show that I don't know much, but I'm not sure what DSA stands for. Is a must to become a successful web developer. Will a company give more importance to DSA in, oh, okay, I get it. Duh, so dumb. Data structures and algorithms. So here's the thing. That's also something I put on the topic for the stream when I put a community post up, because here's my thoughts. Algorithms and data structures are important. But how important are they? So this is the way I look at it. If you don't have a portfolio and you don't have projects in React, right? You have nothing to show a potential employer that you could do the work because you know how to code, then don't worry about algorithm and data structures. Because at the end of the day, as a junior web developer, your job is to be able to use React or whatever the technologies they're using and create that project. A lot of the hard questions will be answered for you by the intermediate or advanced or senior developers who are basically going to figure all that stuff out, and they're just going to tell you to implement their solution. So as a junior web developer, it's not that important. With that being said though, once you have a portfolio, you have projects in your portfolio, and you're starting to interview, that's when you should start focus on algorithms and data structures. Because the truth is, being able to do the work is one skill. Being able to pass the interview questions with algorithms and data, that's the second skill. So a lot of times you could be good at what you're doing, and if you have the portfolio, start focusing on algorithms and start practicing interview questions. Now, here's the thing. Not every interview is the same, and it depends where you apply. Certain companies, they only care about you being able to whiteboard algorithms and data structures and figure out solutions and whatever. And there are certain companies, their interview is like, can you build this for me? Can you, if I give you this mockup, can you build this mockup with React, and can you add basic logic to it? And then there's companies that ask a combination of both. So to answer your questions, if you're not good at algorithms and data structures, you're going to have to learn. But you don't have to learn them right away. First, learn to build stuff. So the flip side of that coin is you could be an expert on algorithms, you could be an expert in data structures, you could even be doing competitive programming, but if you can't build an application that functions, that you deploy to the web using React, now all that stuff is irrelevant. So, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but this is something that I'm going to stick to because I feel this served me well. Number one, learn to do the work. It's like if you want to be a mechanic, learn how to fix the car, but you don't have to know how to engineer the car. Eventually, if you want to get higher up and understand, learn how the engine works, learn the engineering behind it. But to get your entry-level job, learn to build stuff, learn to create stuff. And then when you start interviewing, that's when you start focusing on the algorithms, the data structures to pass the interview. So there's two skills. Skill, learn to do the work, and skill two, learn to pass an interview. And obviously, different companies, if you apply to Google, without a doubt in my mind, 100% you need to know data structures and algorithms, like 100%. And you're not going to get a job if you can't do that. And there's plenty of, and I don't even want to work at Google. I don't want to work at that company. I just want to be a web developer, get my foot in the door, which I did. I'm getting paid as a developer, and now I'm learning the data structures and algorithms. And I actually take a bunch of computer science courses on Coursera because I want to, because I like to, but at the moment where I work, at my position as a junior developer, it's not a requirement. By the way, once you get your foot in the door, there's nothing stopping you from going back and getting a degree and possibly having your company pay for it if you're really interested in getting a computer science degree afterwards. Like I said, there's no wrong way of doing it. I'm 40 years old. I couldn't justify going back to college to get a degree and also go into debt. So I took the self-taught route. If anybody who's younger, I would say go to college. Get your computer science degree. If you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, go to college. If it's free, your parents paying you, or the country you live in, it's free education. Go to college, get the degree, have fun at school, because it's a great experience and it'll definitely help you and not hurt you. But if you're my age, you're older, and you're kind of limited on your time, and you don't want to go into debt, like for me to go back to college, it'll be another $80,000. I much rather try the self-taught route, and if I can't get a job as a self-taught developer, then I'm going to look on, going to boot camp. Luckily, I didn't have to. I was able to get my job. But let's go down the list here. By the way, I keep saying all the time, because it really means a lot to me, that without you guys, this community, this channel would not exist. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart joining me here, and keep those questions going. Let's keep this party going. Ram, I love that quote. There's two types of developers. One with a strong collection of domain names and one with Udemy courses. Man, yeah, keeping it real, brother. I seriously, you got to be deploying projects. You got to have your stuff hosted online for people to be able to see what you built so they could hire you. Your course, like my collection on Udemy, probably bigger than all of you guys combined together. Smash the like button, Adrian. I appreciate your love for sure. You guys can see my screen. Great. You guys can see me fine. I'm just reading the comments, having a good time here. Hey, Hamza, listen, I feel the pain. It took me 5 years to get my job, and sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes it takes time. The thing is, it's not easy, it's very difficult, and you gotta just keep at it, you know what I mean? You gotta put in the work. The one thing I would say, when you start comparing yourself to other people that landed a job in 3 months or 9 months, maybe they lied to you, maybe they did, who knows? But that's gonna start messing with your head, because it's unrealistic expectation. What you should be thinking about, not when you're gonna get a job, but are you really doing the steps that are necessary to get a job? Do you have a process, a plan? Like I mentioned earlier, maybe your resume just needs to be rewritten so you can start getting more interviews, because based on the number of resumes you send and the interviews you got, I think that's where the issue is. And it might not even be the fact that you don't know what you're doing. It could be the fact that your resume just is not written in a way that those auto reading scanning machines like to see. So I talked to somebody else who I would say is a better programmer than I am, but they weren't able to get a job, and it's because they just need to rewrite their resume, fix some keywords, and we could talk more about that later. But don't lose hope, keep at it. It's not that easy to do, like some people online make it sound to be. Just send me a resume and portfolio. I will take a look at it. Not gonna do it on live right now. I'm gonna do it a little bit later so I could spend some time on it and analyze and go from there. On Slack, perfect. Yes, we will look at it on Slack, and we will talk about it and go from there. Jacob, great to have you here. In your opinion, I had to make one project. Which one do I have to build to get the attention of recruiters? Excuse me, guys. So it's hard to tell what projects recruiters are looking for. What I will tell you is that it has to be something that is not like a tic-tac-toe game. It's got to be something that solves like a business problem. So even just doing a basic website, unless somehow it's getting dynamic data from an API, I would definitely focus on, you definitely have to include HTML, CSS, JavaScript, maybe React, and you also have to be able to show the recruiters that you understand how to get data from API and to make changes based on button clicks or filtering or whatever your application is responsible for, and demonstrate that in your application. And what I would say, when you start, the best way to get attention of recruiters, and this is something I started doing, I just started looking up recruiters because I live in US. I use LinkedIn. I'm not sure where you're from in terms of where you live, what is the best method, but I started reaching out to them and literally asking them what do they want to see from potential people that they're looking to hire. Like, what kind of resume do they want to see, what kind of projects they have done, so you could compare to that. But it is literally person to person basis. But if you don't have a portfolio with one simple HTML, CSS, JavaScript project, that's what I recommend you build. And as you become better at your skill, just add the complexity to that project. But literally, you just have to talk to recruiters and see what they want, because certain recruiters expect one thing. For instance, I applied to this job. I said I was a React developer. I sent them my React portfolio, and they ghosted me. They didn't reply to me, and then I learned why, because they were not looking for any React developers. It would have been nice if they told me they were looking for Java developers, and listen, they didn't even reply to me. So what I would say, look at the jobs in your area, see the tech they use, and build a project to include those technologies. And Hamza, I will check out your portfolio, just not on the live stream, because I want to make sure that I don't make any hasty judgments. I want to make sure that I look at it, and I also want to make sure that we talk about it first, you and I, before sharing it with other people, for many reasons, for privacy reasons, or also just because that's how I want to do it. Anyway, Ram can afford to go back to college because of my financial situation. Even though I'm less than 25 years old, I will just focus on learning. Yeah, sometimes it is what it is. You know, it made, and you're still young, 25. I wish I was 25. But the point is, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? And so it is what it is. 3 games, good question. So are Udemy tutorials on par to real job complexity, or they're too basic? Yes, they're definitely not on par with what you're going to be building, but what they are able to do is teach you enough about the technology to be able to break into the field if you're building projects, and also not be completely lost at your job. When I got hired for the first 4 weeks, I was like, man, I have no idea what they're doing here. But through reading documentation and spending sleepless nights at home, I was able to catch up. So what Udemy tutorials will teach you is how to understand the basics of, let's say, the language or React, and then the rest you're able to fill in through studying on your own, through reading documentation and stuff like that. So yes, a lot of Udemy tutorials, they are more geared for beginners to maybe beginner intermediate level, but that is what I've seen. And my transition going from, being able to do tutorials online to actually working at my job, it was very tough, and there was a lot of learning and growing pains. But the good news, in a lot of companies, when you join as a junior web developer, they allow you to kind of struggle a little bit, and they give you enough support to ask questions to bring you up to speed to be productive at your work. I hope that question helped here. Anyway, guys, keep those questions coming. And I just want to say, really appreciate all of you guys here. The one thing that I want to talk to you guys about is how to study tutorials. Regardless if it's on Udemy, regardless if it's on Pluralsight, what is a good strategy? So what I started to do recently, and I'm ashamed to say that I didn't do this earlier. Normally the way I do tutorials, I watch a little bit of the video, I caught along with the video, then I go watch a little bit more of the video, I caught along with the video, and then after I finish the project, I try to understand what I did. And that's a completely wrong approach, because that is similar to, let's say I want to learn how to draw. By the way, let me back up a second. Doing tutorials like that when you're just starting out, your first month in, is okay, and you need to do by copying. Just like I'm about to use in this example. If I want to learn how to draw, I have a picture that I want to draw, and I have my piece of paper. And what I do is I take my piece of paper, I place it on top of the picture, and I trace. And I trace it, right? That's what I do. That's exactly what you're doing when you're doing a tutorial and you're watching a little bit of video, you're typing what you see, you watch a little bit of video, you're typing what you see, you're literally tracing what the instructor already created for you ahead of time. So that's not a bad way to learn when you're starting out initially. But as soon as you can, a month into it, as soon as force yourself to do this as soon as possible. Stop doing the tutorial like that. Stop learning the tutorial like that. What you need to do instead is open up your tutorial, quickly kind of look through the sections, see what you're going to be learning, and then when you go to the first video, just sit back, relax, have your coffee in hand, watch the video, take notes, go back, watch the video a little bit more, try to understand what the instructor is doing. But what you don't do is type along with your instructor what you see on the screen. Because it's the same thing as tracing. You don't, yeah, look, anybody, my 5-year-old, when she was 5, she was 21, she could put a piece of paper on a picture and trace it. Yeah, maybe it's gonna look like a 5-year-old did it, but anybody could trace. So what you have to force yourself to do when learning to code, you need to watch a video, switch your attention away from the screen, and try to build that thing from memory. Because when you trace, you're missing the recollection part of learning. So instead of going, look at the screen, write a, do a little bit code, look at the screen, don't look at the screen. Turn off the tutorial. Go to your code editor and see if you could type it. See if you could recall. Then if you get stuck, go back to your tutorial, watch the video again. Do not type with the tutorial. Do not follow the instructor. Instead, try to understand what the instructor is doing. Look at the code, right? Like I have here. Weird example here. I'm looking at my code. I'm like, okay, all right. I see what the instructor did here. I watched the video. Then stop. Go back to your code editor and see if you could do it from your mind. The most important part of learning is being able to recall the data. And if you're just following along with the instructor, and there's nothing wrong with it if you're brand new, like a week, 2 weeks, a month in, but after that, stop. Instead, don't follow along with the instructor the same way you would trace a piece of paper. No, go back and see if you could recall that information on your own. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, it's going to get time, but it's a much better way to learn. And what you're teaching yourself is how to recall the information when you're learning. So when you are building, like the biggest problem a lot of people say, I finished this tutorial, but I can't build a project because you didn't practice the recollection. You didn't internalize the concept. You just copied what the instructor wrote. So instead, practice recalling the information, practice the understanding of the information. And that's why when you go to interviews, after doing a bunch of tutorials, you feel lost. But if now you start practicing recalling the information, right? Now when you go to that interview, that's what you practice. And you're gonna have that available to you because that's what you learned. That's what you internalized. So this is what and by the way, I'm talking about like I'm the smartest person in the world. I'm the dumbest person in the world because I just realized that. I just realized this strategy. So all my tutorials I do now, I just watch the video and then I look away from the screen and I try to recollect, think about it, struggle, look up Google, see if I can find a solution. But do not copy code. Do not trace somebody else's design because instead you're just learning how to be a good copier, but you're not learning how to be like a good programmer. You need to internalize the information. So from now on, what I started doing when I'm learning to code is look at the code, look at the video, okay? Close the video. Go to my code editor and type and try to recollect what I learned. It is the best way. This is something I've been doing, something I'm going to continue to do, and I recommend you guys do too. I don't care if you like that or not. For me, that's a must now. And I'm ashamed to say that I just started to do that. But I already could see the progress I'm making in my learning, and I suggest you guys do the same too. So let's look at the comments. So Jacob, I did answer this question, but I'll say it again. Basically, what I need to be able to do, we have a UI person that comes in and says, hey, here's the view of the component that I want you to build. I look at the mockup, I look at that photo, and then I go and I recreate it with React. Basically, HTML and CSS, or in React as JSX, but it looks very similar to HTML. And once I create that view, the data is not hard-coded. The data comes from an API. And so what I have to do is write the code that fetches that data from an API and fills in that data inside and re-renders the view accordingly. And some of the other things that I have to do, for instance, we have a database of members, and on top of the component, you should be able to search the database. You have to be able to search by date, search by name. So I'm responsible to write that functionality using React and JavaScript. And when I first started, they first had me focus just on HTML, CSS, and the UI portion. And then as I got better, I've been at the company for a year, like 3 months into it, they had me start spending more time writing the logic and doing more complex things. But the most important thing you should be able to do is take a mockup and turn it into React representation. You should be able to write basic logic with React or JavaScript in it, and you should understand how to connect to an API to get a data from the database. And that's something that I still do at my job, and I think that's a big part of a lot of junior web developers. Now, I work for a small company, so I kind of have to wear many hats. I know some people who just start out, their first few months, they literally just work on fixing bugs and doing that type of stuff. So I hope the answer helps, but it depends on what company you work at. What type of projects do employers look for in your portfolio for a junior web developer job? Ask from a perspective of a self-taught programmer. So again, when you're building a project, it should show some sort of functionality. And the functionality should be here. This project is not finished. I'm still working on it, but I'll demonstrate it to you guys. It's probably broken because I'm working on another project at the moment, so I had to put this one on hold. So let me look it up here.
So this is a project I started working on, and the idea here was actually, you guys can see my screen. Okay, great. So here's the idea. So I have this view that I created, this website. You have videos, you have links, and my internet's slow, so it takes time. The blog is broken. You see, I have to fix it. Not worry about it right now. Let me go back to the site again. So the first idea is you need to be able to create your view like I did here. And the second thing, this data, these videos, they come from a backend. They come from an API. So I have to know how to be able to query this data from an API and get it and dynamically generate it here. Now, I did the same thing for links. This data lives on an API, and you have to be able to connect to an API to get this data. So that's very important skill, to be able to create the view and be able to at least get the data. And when working with the APIs, you have the basic CRUD functionality, which is create, read, update, delete. So you have to be familiar with that working with basic APIs. Another thing you should be able to familiar is handling authentication. You have to be able to sign in to your app and kind of understand. You don't have to be an expert, but you have to understand the general theory, how it works, and you should have an application where you're able to sign in, kind of like I did here. So notice how once you sign in, the view changes. Not only now do you have the videos, the links, but you also have the lesson section and the dashboard section. Now, I didn't implement anything here, but we have section for videos, lessons, blog, your profile, and bugs that eventually will come here. But the idea is, and if you sign out, look, it changes the view because I'm no longer signed in, I'm not authenticated, so I don't get to see all those cool things. So when building an app, it should be something similar to this, where you have your view. This shows that, okay, Paul knows how to write HTML and CSS. Fantastic. Okay. Next, it shows he's getting data dynamically. This data is not hard-coded. This data is coming back from the API. and I'm using Strapi as my backend. So all these entries, all this data comes from the Strapi backend. And then signing in, being able to handle basic authentication and being able to be like, okay, if the user is authenticated, they should have a different view. So this is my personal view for my videos, lessons, and blogs. And if I log out, it's gonna log out. So you should be able to do something like this. A good app that I think, if you're able to create it, and this is something that Coder Foundry recommends, it's these guys right here. You could go to Coder Foundry on YouTube, Google them. They have a thing called the project
to rule them all. And what they recommend is a bug tracker. And so if you could create a bug tracker, I started on mine. I could show you just the bits of pieces of it and just a little bit on CodePen because I don't feel like starting my web development environment right now. But the idea, you should be able to create the view, you should be able to get the data from API, and you should be able to make changes to that data by adding, by deleting, by updating, and so basic CRUD operations like create, read, update, and delete. So I know it's a lot, and that's what a lot of people don't tell you when people looking to get a job as a programmer, self-taught programmer, coder, like graduate from boot camp or college. You should be familiar with those basics because that's the bare minimum that a lot of companies are expecting, and it is hard and it's not easy. Like, I can't sit here and lie to you, say no, just the basics will be enough. If you create like a simple HTML site and CSS site, that's the step one, but you should be able to make more complex applications kind of on par like what I demonstrated. And to kind of show more examples, I could jump in here in CodePen. I started working on my bug tracker. Oh, excuse me guys, so too much coffee. So I'm creating these components for my UI, and this right now is hard-coded, but the idea is all this information, right now it's the same because it's hard-coded, but when I connect an API, it should get the project name, should get the information for the project, it should show the tasks, the differences. This project also has a table. So this is the sign-in form that I'm creating for that bug tracker. Somewhere in here was the table. Where did it go? Where did the table go? I know it's somewhere in here. Trust me, I have a table. I'll show it to you. And I like CodePen because it's an easy way to kind of try things out and kind of practice things before moving to your code. So here's the table that I'm creating for that project. So basically, this is just the UI portion of it, but I also have to be able to go to connect an API, be able to request this. I also have to add ability to search this table and stuff like that. So these are all the things you should you don't have to be complete expert, but you should understand how they work. And I just realized on that
screen here. So here's the components that I was building and showing here. So you should, like, this is a table. Right now, this is just the UI. This is just the HTML and CSS. But the idea here, once I create the HTML and CSS, I have to write the logic that is able to get this data from a database. And then depending on the application, maybe I have to have the ability to add a project name and, have to be able to filter. You don't have to be an expert at these things, but you do have to be familiar with it. And another one I showed was discard. This data right now is hard-coded, but eventually has to come from the API. Similar, like all the items are, populated here from the API. So you have to understand the basic of CRUD, create, read, update, delete. You have to know that and be able to do it with JavaScript by connecting to API. You have to be comfortable with creating views like the HTML and CSS portion, and be comfortable with basics of authentication. And like I was saying, there's a great channel, Coder Foundry. They have a video called Project to Rule Them All, and basically they recommend building a bug tracker. If you could build a bug tracker, because it's not an easy app to make, it's kind of complex, but if you build a bug tracker like they recommend, that's enough for you to prove to somebody that's looking to hire you that you know that what you're doing and be able to get hired and get a job. But like I said, it's not easy. Like, it takes work and it's hard, and I just don't know what else to say except that it's hard. I get so upset, like I'm about to go on a rant here, so upset and freak out that there's so many channels out there that make it seem that just taking 1 or 2 courses
all of a sudden you're gonna get a job after 3 months making $100,000 a month. And that's not true. It's very difficult, it's very hard. A lot of boot camps are actually good. They do a test and they test you to see what you know, and if they don't feel you're competent enough with the basics of programming, they don't even take you to their boot camp, because they know if they don't want you to start boot camp and not graduate, you know, and finish. They want to find candidates that, first of all, study programming on their own for a while, go to a boot camp, and the boot camp helps them to go that extra step to be able to land their job. So I just want to say that, it's not easy, that is hard. Let me go back to the comments. I know I'm all over the place here. And as I go to comments, I always want to say thank you guys for joining me here. Without you guys, I would not have this community. I know we're fairly small here, and if you do want to be part of the community, if you do have a Slack channel, you could just email me at codingafter30@gmail.com and go from there. Hamza, how did I master CSS? I did not master CSS, but I know enough CSS to look things up that I don't know. And I guess that's amazing point that you made, Hamza, is that when you're learning stuff, you should learn enough of the basics that you are able to search stuff in Google or Stack Overflow and look things up that you don't know. So you want to be competent enough in the language to understand the basic of the syntax, regardless of it's CSS, HTML, or some sort of programming language, that you're able to go online through reading documentation, you're able to look stuff up, and you're able to learn what you are missing. It isn't like learning to program, maybe to get started, is easy, but to master things is very difficult. I'm nowhere near to be a master, but the good news, to get your first job, you don't have to be a master, but you do have to have the ability of being able to understand enough of the language that you could look things up and find a solution on your own. And a lot of times at my job, that's what I do. I don't know how to do something that somebody asked me to create. I go online and I try to figure out how to do it. Let's jump back to the comments here for a second. So what resources, Shader, what resources I'm using to learn C#? So for C#, basically, and here, let me show you. I have it right here. For C#, I have bunch, so, because I'm a React developer first, I got this course by Neil Cummings, and he just redid it. So I starting from the beginning, complete guide to building an app with .NET Core, C# and React, which is awesome. And then I also have some courses here on Udemy that I took and slowly starting to work through. So I like this class right here, complete C# masterclass on Udemy is really good. Wait till it's on sale, buy it for $12. But another platform I use, and you do have to pay a monthly subscription, is Pluralsight. So I've been working through and reviewing C# fundamentals and ASP.core fundamentals, just because I'm still fairly new to C# and still learning. So that's what I'm working on. So between Udemy and Pluralsight, you could find some good C# courses. I know there's others, but this is what I use. And so I hope this helps. But if you haven't started learning C#, and of course YouTube, there's plenty of great tutorials on YouTube that you could take advantage of. But if you haven't started learning C#, I would recommend starting with the basics course on Udemy. Once you get the basic you finish that first course and you want to dive into some more intermediate level stuff, definitely Pluralsight is the next best place to go. And obviously reading documentation from Microsoft and stuff like that, since they're the ones who created that technology. Hope that helps. Yes, active recall is a huge part of learning how to do with code, and it's basically, like I mentioned earlier today, is when you're doing tutorials, you don't have to spend, watch 5 minutes of a video covering that small topic or that small part of it. Stop the video, take a break, and think about what you watched. Try to see if you understand. If things are still a little bit hazy, go back and rewatch the video. Then stop, go back, try to think about it, and then go in front of your code editor and see if you could type it out from memory. And that way you're forcing yourself to practice that active recall that's going to help things stick in your head. And that's something that I just started to do. So don't think I'm like some sort of Jedi master that I knew this all along. This is something fairly new to me. That's something I started to work out and do myself, but I could already see the difference it's making in my studying. So, and then if you saw me kind of give that little demo of that app that I still didn't complete yet, what you should be able to do with React is you should be able to, in the most basic kind of concept, you should be able to create some sort of UI. You should be able to write some basic logic, and you should be able to connect to an API to retrieve data from a database. I would say that's the bare minimum that you need to know to start applying to React jobs. You don't have to be an expert, so know the basics. So I would say in most positions, that's what you need to know. That was the expectation that I had going into it. When I got hired, and one thing that hurt me is most of my projects were built with Firebase at home, but at work we use SQL, and I didn't know SQL, so I had to quickly learn it. So if you're going to build projects, learn to connect to APIs, and then also understand the basic of relational databases like SQL or Postgres. So anyway, that's SQL based, very important. But you don't have to be a master, you just have to have an idea. But the bare minimum for React, you should be able to take a mock-up of a website and recreate it with React. You should be able to write some basic logic that is able to connect to an API and retrieve some sort of data. You don't have to be a master at it, but you just have to understand the concepts. And yeah, so guys, man, thank you for guys sharing with me. I know this was kind of like everywhere. I hope you guys like getting lots of values from these live streams. Most importantly, like you guys are the most important part of the live stream. Like I don't go on these live streams for myself. I go for these live streams for you guys. I love talking to you. So I want to say thank you for all the love, the appreciations, all the great questions. It's really humbling to me and really just shows me that there's a need for a community, for people to be able to work with like-minded people, to connect, help each other out. Learning to program is not easy. It's very difficult. It's very discouraging. So buying into the hype, buying into this idea that the next course that you buy somehow has the magic like formula that's going to help you get the job is not true. You have to grind through the stuff. You have to put in the work. And instead of doing lots of courses, you just have to do less courses and build more projects. And I know it sounds very simplified and silly, but that's the truth. You need to struggle by building, and whenever you're getting stuck, it's not the next tutorial that's going to help you. It's taking a problem where you're stuck, going on Stack Overflow, being part of the community like this one, and picking other people's brains, reading Google articles, and figuring out that issue that you're stuck on, getting unstuck, and moving forward. By the way, if you made it this far, guys, and you're still not part of our Slack community, you can email me at codingafter30@gmail.com, and I will add you to it. What I like about our community is that we have one community project that we're building. It's not the type of community we have, it's not a hand-holding community, meaning like I'm not gonna show you how to build a project. I'm gonna support you. Other people in the Slack are gonna support you. We're gonna encourage you, we're gonna talk to you, we're gonna point you the right direction where to find a solution to your issue. And if you're really, really stuck, we're going to give you just enough to help you get unstuck, but we're not going to lead you through by holding your hand and by showing you how it's done, because that hurts your learning. You literally learn through trial and error, figuring things by yourself and internalizing that lesson into your mind. So if you want to join that community, join us at codingafter30. Email me at codingafter30@gmail.com. Hey, the linguist, good evening or good morning. Great to see you. Yeah, so we have a lot of great members in our Slack channel. The linguist, as we call him, amazing guy. He actually answers a lot of questions in our Slack, which I'm very thankful for, because that's exactly the type of community we want to promote. So if you are in the Slack, you're going to get to see him and say hello to him. But hey guys, let me know if you guys have other questions, other things, And listen, if there's certain things I'm saying that sound to you like nonsense, hey, I totally understand. I'm just keeping it real and telling you about my experience getting my job, looking to get hired. It was a struggle for me. If I were to wish one thing to you guys, is that you guys don't share my journey. I started learning to code start to take it more seriously at 35. I was able to get my job at 39. Almost 5 years that it took me to get a job, and it's because I made a lot of mistakes. I did not follow the things that I'm telling you guys now to do, or mistakes not to make. And I'm sure I'll still make mistakes moving forward, but there are certain things that just hurt us in our progress. And one thing is comparing ourselves to others. The second one is trying to think that there's a shinier thing that we have to learn that's going to help us to get a job. What you have to do is pick a stack, that's in demand in your area. If it's ASP.NET with MVC, that's what you do. If it's React and JavaScript, that's what you do. And then don't change. Stick to that technology until you get a job. Like, even now, I'm learning C# on my job because I have to know it. I'm still focused 80% of my effort on React and JavaScript. I want to be the best and most competent in React and JavaScript that I can be, so when I apply to my next position, I'm able to get it. And I'm not going to try to, learn every possible thing underneath the sun. And if you don't have a job yet and you're looking to get your foot in the door, definitely have a more focused approach, more narrow approach, and make sure that you're competent enough in that one focus area to get your job. If it's React, stick with React until you get a job. If it's WordPress and PHP, stick with WordPress and PHP until you get the job. And if it's ASP.NET, stick with ASP.NET until you get a job. But don't jump around from one thing to another, to another, to another. I made a mistake, and it hurt me, and I could have been employed much earlier, and I wasn't. So that's what I'm going to tell you. Hey, Hamza, let me get back to your question. Let me jump back up higher. Best ways to understand what technology is in demand in your area. Okay, Shada, great question. So I don't know where you guys live. Like in my area, I'm in Austin, Texas. So what I do is I basically go on the most common websites that you could search job listings and openings, and I see, like, I'll search JavaScript, I'll search ASP.NET and C#, then I'll search like JavaScript and React, and then I see what posting has the most jobs. So let's say in my area, ASP.NET, I'm just going to use easy numbers. I do the search. I mean, ASP.NET is like super popular. But let's just assume it's not. And I look and I'm like, oh man, only like 200 jobs available in my area. And then I search React and JavaScript. I'm like, 1,000 jobs. Wow, that tech is in demand, And so I'm gonna pick that. I'm gonna see what, okay, they ask for React, they ask for JavaScript. That's what I'm gonna learn. That's what I'm gonna focus all my attention on. So that's what I would do. So LinkedIn is one area to use. Indeed is another. There's also hire.com. There's other places, but yeah, you could average out based on your area where you live, whatever the most popular website for job searching is, use that one, use couple, and see, what you come up with, and then base your decision on that. Logics, what are some ugly truths about this profession that new people aren't aware of? Dude, it's hard. It's hard. Coding is hard. Very difficult. There's no easy peasy way to get a job as a developer. There's so many, like there's one guy, I don't want to say his channel because I don't want to talk bad about anybody. He sells a lot of courses. He's a master marketer, a master salesperson. And a lot of his tutorials that he puts on, he doesn't even do them. He has other people that do them because I don't think he knows that much code, to be honest with you. But he's so good at selling courses. He's so good at having people part with their money, and he sells you the dream. He says, in 3 months of studying Python, or you take this Python to 100K in 3 months, bootcamp class, and you're gonna get a job. And none of that is true. You will not get a job making 100K as a developer in 3 months if you're brand new and just starting out. I'm gonna give an example of one person I know who, after studying Python for 3 months, got a job making $100,000. Okay, you guys ready for it? This is the most important. I have a friend. He has a PhD in math, basically a scientist. Smartest person I know. He learned Python in 3 months, and he was able to get a job making $150,000. Why? Did he got that job because he learned Python in 3 months? Or maybe it's because he had a PhD in math and that's what most of his job required him to do, and he just uses Python as a vehicle to be able to calculate his math equations. I would probably say that is the fact, and that's in any case why he was able to get a job, is because he already had a skill and he just learned a little bit of programming that kind of highlighted his skill, and he got the job not because he knew Python that took him 3 months to learn, but it's because he's a math genius. And so with that being said, you have to keep that in mind, this idea that if you're brand new, you got to put in your work, you got to put in your hustle. It took me 5 years to get to where I am. I'm not saying, I really believe if you really hunker down 6 months to a year, you could accomplish that goal, but it's gonna be hard. You're gonna have zero social life. Guys, you are my social life. Like, I appreciate you guys being here, but listen, it's hard. So that's the ugly truth, is that it's hard and it's hard to do. Another thing, ageism is a thing. If you're older, they're not going to say that it's true, but people will be like, yeah, you're older, huh? Whatever. And some people still tell me it's not so, but a lot of times when I talk to recruiters and I tell them how old I am, all of a sudden I'm ghosted. Like, old sack of potatoes. Hey, it was nice knowing you. I didn't know you're that old. But hey, doesn't mean that you should stop. I'm not stopping. I'm keep moving at it, because with every no, you get closer to yes. So it is true. So if you're younger than 40, I guess you're okay. I'm only saying it because I'm 40 and it's been kicking my ass. Anyway, do I need to learn Redux to apply for jobs? And Hamza, to be honest with you, Redux is starting to fall out of style now. So if you don't know Redux, no big deal. As long, like, if you're, especially with React, if you're learning React and you use the context API that has to manage state, that's more than enough. You don't have to worry about Redux. There's actually other state management libraries outside of Redux that are more appropriate. So if you don't know React, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, Redux was a must. Now, it's not so much. So if you don't know it, it's fine. And if you work at a company where they say you need Redux, you could learn it just for your particular project. But it's not as important now. There's other libraries to manage state, and React's API now does a good job. React API. Context API does a good job for managing state. So Redux not as important as it was before. So a quick story here to prove my point. My company, when I started working there, we were using Redux to manage state, and then we just recently refactored all of it out because we realized that using Context API was much simpler. We don't have to do as much boilerplate, and it's just made up, like, for what we were doing on our project, Redux really wasn't solving any particular issue that we couldn't solve with Context API. And and that's the answer to that, as they say. Yes, so Linguist, I hope that answered your question. Hey, thanks, great stuff. I'm gonna watch this again tomorrow. Thanks, and fantastic. I know in some places late, sometimes it's like 1:30 a.m. here. I'm gonna go on for another 10-15 minutes. Love talking to you guys. It's very hard for me to leave, because I love talking. It doesn't matter if it's one person here or 10 person. Even if no one shows up, I'd still be practicing talking, think about what I could share in the next live stream that will bring value to you guys. And let me know, if you're getting value from what I have to say. By the way, one thing I'm gonna tell you guys, I want you to know that I'm not like somebody to look up to, like a guru or somebody that is is better than you in some ways, or somehow I'm gonna teach you a thing that, like a magic pill, gonna help you get a job. I'm some dude who, just like you, struggling to learn to code, got a job eventually, and still struggling because it's hard. The truth is here, it's that it takes work, and the reason why I want to have this community, because just as much value as you're getting from me, I want to listen to you guys and learn from you guys as well. I'm just some dude on the same level as you that maybe knows a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but what I do know is the struggle. I do know what it's like being in the trenches, trying to get ahead and get the job. And that's one thing I would say, if I were to say what is the difference between my channel versus someone who's a senior engineer, know what's up, is maybe because they already succeeded, they're already at their job that they want, they might not remember the struggle. And I know this for a fact because I have a friend who's a senior engineer. Now he's manages other senior engineers, very high up. And every time I talk to him, he's like, Paul, yeah, whatever. He's like, yeah, like we have an opening at Shopify. Just put your resume, it'll be easy. You know, it doesn't take much. You just have to know 1, 2, 3 things. What he's forgetting is that he's been developer for such a long time. He forgot the struggle that it took him to get that. And it's not easy. In his mind, it's easy because he's a senior engineer. He knows all that stuff. For me, it's not. I'm a junior engineer. I'm still learning my craft, and it's a struggle. And that's one thing that I would say why you should follow somebody who's just a little bit ahead of you or a little bit below you, that you could practice helping them through what you learned, because you guys are not far removed from the struggle. I'm not that far removed from the struggle. I could relate to you when you guys say, look, I applied to 200 jobs and I'm not able to get a single goddamn interview. I could relate to that. I could tell you, like, it's the same struggle for me, and I could tell you what I'm doing to get ahead or fix that, right? And that's why I think the strength of this channel is that I'm still in the trenches, just like with you guys. If I'm better than you guys, it's by like tiny bit, because I made so many goddamn mistakes that I could just tell you, don't make this mistake because it will hurt you. And in the trenches, just like you guys, struggling. And that's the reason why I love talking to you guys, because I want to know what pains you're going through. And if you guys get your job and you guys get a success story, share with everybody else here with our community to help them out to get ahead, to get to where they want to go. And with that, you know, like, man, that's why I love you guys. You guys are the best. So let's jump into the comments, check out what's up here. The linguist, thank you. I love that. Leading questions are like questions. He knows the answer to this because we did have a little chat about this, and I like that. He's like basically saying, Paul, please go and tell us your thoughts, one big project or 10 small ones. So I showed this broken thing for you guys, and I wish I could pull up my bug tracker, the one where I actually made a bunch of stuff happen, but I have to start my development environment, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go broken app that I had to put on hold and not work, but it's this one here. So the examples are not going to be completely the same, but it's going to get the point. So this is my cornerstone project. This is the big God damn it, you guys, did I switch the screen? Can you guys see my screen? Sometimes I forget. By the way, guys, if you're joining here, hold on a second. I'll come back to this example. I want to tell you that what an idiot I am, because you guys are going to find this funny. If you've been here for the whole beginning of time, you would know. So I started streaming at 11:55, so I thought. And 20 minutes into it, I'm like, no one's asking questions. And then I see, where's Paul? And then I realized I did not hit the live button. I didn't hit go live button. So I was talking for 20 minutes by myself, looking at the comments and wondering why nobody has asked a question. I did not hit the like button. That's what kind of idiot I am. But with that being said, going back to the example, I just want to share that with you guys. Know I'm not perfect. So here's the example. So here's a project I'm building, and it's not going to be exact apples to apples, but it's going to get the idea. So notice I have a card here, and this is my cornerstone project. This is a big project. It has a sign-in function that I demonstrated earlier. You could sign in here by clicking it. You could type an email, whatever, authentication. It'll put you in this thing. You could go back to video section. You could sign out, whatever. But the point is, you see this card component. This is a big project. Now, I'm building this big cornerstone project. Does it make sense to me? I'm so excited. So excited. Does it make sense to me, by looking at the project, to build a tic-tac-toe game right now as a small project? Does it make sense? No, it does not. Why? Where in my app, and I'm being ridiculously dramatic because I want to prove a point, but where in my app would a tic-tac-toe app fit? Where would it fit? Not here. This is a card element. So here's the thing. You need to build a big project, but that big project is built of smaller components, and those smaller components should be your smaller projects. So in this example, a small project is not a tic-tac-toe. A small project could be,
hey, I want to build this card. How would I do that? And it's not going to be apples to apples, but I'm going to show you. Here's an example of a card. So this is my smaller project. My small project is, how do you build the card? Now, instead of building a tic-tac-toe that's worthless for me because it doesn't do any good for me in my project, I learned how to build a card component. I could take this card component and I could go into my big project and use it. So notice how your smaller projects, your
smaller projects should be the building blocks that build your bigger projects. So that way you're always moving forward in that direction that you need to move. I'll give you another example. Here's my project. It's my cornerstone project. Should I build I don't know. I don't have any examples, but look at this link. It kind of looks like it's a list of items. Here, it's like a data grid or table, cards. It's like, if I know my bigger project needs to have this functionality, would I build something like a bouncing ball? Unless you're making games, by the way, make games. That's what you do. By the way, if you're making games, you're not doing this. You're building games. So the whole point is, your smaller project should be something that you could use to build your bigger project. So this example here, kind of like an example here. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Look, I built a data table. A data table is my small project. I have to add some other additional functionality here, but it's a data table, and it's something that I could now use like Legos to put things together in my bigger project. Again, I'm not showing you my bug tracker because it'll be like a pain in the butt to load it. I'm going to show another example. I sign out. I want to go to sign in. Here is a form. A form. It's a big project. I have form. So for my little project, I build a form. So notice how all my little projects that I build, they're like the Lego pieces that help me build my bigger project. So when you're building smaller projects, they have to relate to your cornerstone portfolio project that you're gonna build to get your job. And thank you, the linguist. I really appreciate you so much, because that is something that I've been kind of also just recently learned, is that the whole important idea here is that everything you do has to move you into one direction, which is get your job. And to get that job, you need to know how to code, but more importantly, you have to have a portfolio. And so to have a portfolio, you need to have one big cornerstone project that showcases everything you know, that when somebody looks at it, like, my God, this guy knows how to code. And I'm sorry I'm being so passionate about it, because I really care about this stuff so much. And I want you to understand the passion and the thing that I'm telling you to help you move forward. And for that bigger project, it's built of smaller components. Not a tic-tac-toe game. Unless you're making games, then you have to build games. But if you're doing stuff like that, it has to be relatable. So I will not build anything that does not relate to my project, big cornerstone project. So if I need a big project, all the little components that big project is made of, those are my small projects. I hope that makes sense to you. If you don't understand any of my babbling right now, just let me know. Let me know below in the comments. But that's how you should be building. Everything you do has to move to your final goal. So, if you're, another thing I actually, guys, if you're part of our Slack, one benefit of that, I love to talk, as you can tell. I will do one-on-one. How much do one-on-ones cost you to talk to me? $0. So if you join our Slack and time allows on the weekend or what have you, I will Zoom with you on the call for free, and I will talk to you. And that's what I did with the linguist yesterday. And we talked about all this stuff. Another thing we talked about is when you're learning to code, you might like Python and data science, and that's perfectly fine. Or you might like WordPress and, PHP, that's fine. You might want to be a React developer, that's fine. What is not fine, try to do all those three things at the same time. I gave a more detailed example, but for here, I'm just going to say, if you want to do data science and machine learning, and that's what you do, stick with that only. If you want to be a game developer with JavaScript, that's what you do. If you want to be a game developer using Unity and C#, that's what you do. If you want to be a WordPress developer, that's what you do. But don't do all 3 or 4 at once. You can't. You don't have time. So you have to focus. You have to have a direction, and you have to move forward. And in a way that every little bit that you do builds on that bigger thing that leads you to your job. And I hope that makes sense to you guys. And I appreciate everything you do. No, I appreciate you guys and everything you guys do, because honestly, without you guys, this channel would not exist. I might as well be talking to my wall here like this. Hey guys, what's up? No, it's the community. It's people. It's you guys. The love that you guys have here. You come in and you guys just, man, we kill it here. We kill it on the stream. I appreciate you guys. It's amazing. And like, if all of you guys just leave and not subscribe, this channel won't exist. I won't exist. So thank you for that. Really appreciate the love. Help us grow this community. And by the way, I was talking about, if you want to join our Slack, send me an email at codingafter30@gmail.com. I will add you to it. So I know we've been talking for a long time, and I'm going to do another 8 minutes. 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes, another 8 minutes. So ask your final questions, your final thoughts. Tell me that I'm completely crazy and out of my mind. That's fine too. But listen, I'm going to tell you what I believe. I'm going to tell you that the mistakes I made that hurt me, I'm going to be honest with you guys. And I'm going to tell you, one day, maybe I'm going to sell courses. Maybe I'm going to do this stuff. But you know what I'm not going to do? I'm never going to tell you that this is easy. I'm never going to tell you and give you a guarantee that after 3 months you're going to get a job making $100,000. Because everybody learns differently. Everybody has different responsibilities in your life. Everybody has a different path. And that's something that you have to walk yourself. I started to, listen, everybody who's here, go check out my YouTube. I'm going to put a link on it, like, see if I can find it. Hold on a second. I'll see if I can link it here somewhere. Give me a moment. Check out my YouTube trailer. And if you're subscribed, you probably won't be able to see it. But I'm going to see if I can find a link. It basically says my journey. I started learning to code when I was 30. But I didn't learn anything until, like, I started to learn to code, like, seriously at 35. And still, because of the mistakes I made, the struggle, it was difficult for me. I didn't get my first job until 39. I'm not saying it's going to take you that long to get a job. What I'm saying, though, is that it's a difficult journey that you have to walk, you have to put in the work. So if you haven't seen my trailer, let me see if I could find it here. And I'm going to put a link. Check it out. It's supposed to be kind of funny, but at the same time, there's a serious undertone. The struggle behind learning to code, making a transition when switching careers. So don't let anybody tell you that it's easy, because it's not. Don't let anybody tell you that, after 2-3 months of minimum effort, you guys are going to get there. It takes time. It takes work. You have to show resolve. You have to be committed. You have to work hard at it to get there. It is not easy. I can't just stress that of how difficult it is. And what's insane, I can't find my own trailer video. Okay, I found it. Because I am, so I will. All right, guys, you know what? The 10 of you that I have here, you guys, I was gonna put the link for this trailer. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it for you. I'm going to watch it with you so you guys get the story. Why this channel exists, the difficulty to learning to code. And I hope it's going to be a lift you up moment for you guys. So I'm going to play it. If you can't hear the audio for it, like, just let me know so I could play the audio for you. I'm going to turn the music down. Pause the music, because we're going to keep it real to finish this live stream. We're going to watch this together. Hold on. I don't know if you heard the sound, but it would help if you guys could see it. I am breaking my stream. I don't know what's happening. What is happening?
Okay, here we go. Here we go. What is happening? All right, you guys. So,
before I show you this trailer, some of you guys seen it before. The truth for this channel is because when I was learning to code, to get a job, I started seriously learning at 35, but my journey started much sooner. Because of the struggles I had, the difficulties, I thought it was dumb, maybe it wasn't for me. It took me from 35 to 39 to get my first job, almost 5 years. It was a difficult journey. And I'd be lying to you if I told you it was easy. I'd be lying to you if I said to you anybody could do it in 3 months, because it's a difficult journey that takes time. And I'm hoping from everything that you guys get from my experience, you know, keeping it real, being honest with you, is the fact that it's a journey you have to do yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. Everybody has different responsibilities, different skill sets, different things that they're able to do, and it is hard. And so the reason I started this channel is because I wanted to share the realness, the struggle, because I wanted everybody who watches this channel to have the real expectations that it's not easy, that it's hard. So if you're not getting that job right now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get it. It just means that you just have to strive through it and work harder. So let's watch this trailer together for my channel, and let me know if you guys could, if you don't hear it.
Let me know. So here we go. I hope you guys could see it. Let me know if you can't hear it. Hopefully you can hear it.
Close your eyes and imagine the world where you learn to code. Imagine the girl, the boy that will love you for your ability to write HTML and CSS. How good would you feel when the app that you use on your phone is the one you made, that makes fun of people that call you? That would be amazing. What else can you make? The possibilities, the dreams become reality. Now, open your eyes.
I'm not sure if you could see my trailer. I'm just going to blab that out there. If you can't see it, let me know.
Even if there is no guarantee.
It's not playing. Thank you for letting me know. I don't know why. Maybe YouTube doesn't allow you to stream stuff. Or maybe I'm like a complete idiot. Probably both. Let me check this out.
Don't stop.
That is so weird. I think YouTube doesn't let you. No, YouTube should allow you. Thanks, guys, for telling me it's not playing.
Just figuratively.
It is weird. It is weird. Why? Why you be doing me like that? Okay, let's try again. Maybe it was frozen. Maybe it was frozen. Okay, let's try again. If it doesn't work, I'll just put a link. Okay, guys. I'm going to play a little bit. Let me know if it's playing. Let me know if you can hear the sound. And if it's not playing, I'm just going to share the link.
And imagine the world where you learn to code. Imagine the girl, the boy that will love you for your ability to write HTML and CSS. How good would you feel when the app that you use on your phone is the one you made, that makes fun of people that call you? That would be amazing. What else can you make? The possibilities, the dreams become reality. Now, open your eyes and say to yourself, you can do it. No matter what people say, even if there is no guarantee, who needs a guarantee? This is what you want. You want to make your dreams a reality. Doesn't matter how old or young, smart or not. Just start coding. Just start doing. Don't stop. Don't give up. This could be your reality. Don't let haters slow you down. Just figuratively punch them in their necks, but not for real.
So I see there's no sound. I don't want to give up, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a link. So if you guys can't hear it, I just see there's no sound. I apologize for that. Is there no sound? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link. You guys see it. Watch it. And I'm going to link it in 1 second here. Sorry that the audio didn't work. I don't know what was up with that. But you know what? It's fine. I'm going to put a link. You guys watch it later. Watch it on your time. And this is going to tell you why I started this channel. Like everything, you know, the struggle is real. I don't want to do a channel where I just sell you the dream about, you know, working and getting a job, telling you how easy it is, telling you how, you know, anybody could do it. It's hard. It took me a long time. And I just want to be as honest with you as I possibly can, because by setting unrealistic expectation will hurt you in making your progress. So don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to yourself. Do the work that you need. Make corrections on your path and keep moving forward, and you will get there. And like I said, my story, it took me a long time to get to where I am. That's why I'm so passionate. I hope you guys could hear this passion that I have, because one thing that I want to do is make sure that if I share my story with you, maybe I don't have to help everybody, but maybe one of you will just stick with it a little bit longer. Maybe one of you will go to bed, you know, 1 hour later so you could study more. Maybe one of you is going to rewrite their resume and try again, get up again and keep going. Then it's all worth it to me, because the struggle is real. It's not easy. It is hard. And I just want to be here with this community to tell you that it's hard, but we're all in this together and we will make it happen. And the last thing I'm going to say before we go today, like this quote is like so overplayed and I hate it. But, you know, they say, you know, you miss every shot you don't take. And I hate quotes like that because they're just so like black and white. They're like, oh, like obviously it's because you're not taking any shots. Like, I know you guys are working. I know you guys are studying. I know you guys putting the effort. And you know what? Sometimes even that is not enough and you have to do more. And it's unfair. It's not popular opinion, but it's the truth. So you might be living in a country where you might be doing all this extra work and you just don't have the opportunity. And you have to find it. You have to work it. You have to fight for it. So it really is that difficult. It really is that hard. And so the point of this community is to keep it real 100% all day, every day. I'm not going to sell you courses. I'm not going to yet. One day, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, who knows? Maybe I'll recommend courses to buy, but I will never sell you a dream. I will never sell you a dream by saying, hey, if you take this coding after 30 course in 3 months, you're going to get a job making $100. That's a lie. That's not true. I don't know if you're going to get a job. Like, no, it takes more than taking a course. I'm going to tell you, you know what? If you buy this course, it'll help you learn JavaScript and React, but it's not going to guarantee you a job. To get a job, you have to put in the work. You have to put in the struggles. You have to put in the sleepless nights. You have to put in the hard work. You have to work on that resume. You have to build connection. If you haven't seen my interview on Coder Foundry, just look up Coder Foundry and Coding After 30 interview I did with them. I talk about some of these things that part of getting a job is networking. A lot of times, it's not even the resume you have. It's maybe you knew someone at the company that took your resume and gave it to the owner, and that's how you got a job. Networking, you know, making connections, being able to code, obviously, and it's all these things that go into play. And so with that being said, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know we're starting to go 2 hours into this live stream. No matter where you guys join us, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate all your love, the way you guys are part of this community, and I can't say no thank you is big enough for what you guys do. You give some dude on the internet a chance to talk to you, and I really appreciate it. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys have a good night, good morning, good day, whatever it is. And we do this every Friday, 11:55 Eastern Time. Always fun, always a pleasure. And if you joined this stream just recently, don't worry, it is going to be recorded. And you could always go to my channel and look it up. And with that being said, thank you and have a good night. And I'll see you guys later. And I'm going to do a very dramatic exit.
Yeah, by the way, if you want, man, the linguist, I appreciate the love, your care. If you want to join our community, codingafter30@gmail.com. Let me type it here. I was going to do dramatic exit, but let's not be dramatic. You know, let's be cool. Let's plug our channel, Slack channel. A lot of people ask me, why don't you share the link here? I don't want to make it that easy for you guys to join. I want to meet you. So send me an email, codingafter30@gmail.com. Be part of the team. Be part of the crew. It's amazing. And now, let's do some SMR. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that stuff. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you guys next time. And I really appreciate all your love and all your support. If you didn't smash the like button, smash the like button. If you didn't subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel. And you know what? For the 9 of you that are still here, if you want to help out the channel, go check out my other videos. Comment like crazy, like, to make this algorithm go into the stratosphere and make this channel grow even faster. But obviously you don't have to do that, but if you do, I really, really appreciate it. So now let's do that dramatic ending again. All right, bye guys.